Strybos is way down at the moment. There he is. And the crowd are going mad because Alessio Chiodi is now the leader, the Italian Honda rider, storming away. And look how far down Remy Van Rijs is. And he's being challenged now by Carlsen, who went very well in training indeed. And the huge crowd here. But you can see how dusty it is. It's a real mixture because the locals watch the lines the Italians take, completely different to the rest of the guys. Some of the World Championship guys are taking tight lines on the inside. The Italians are taking long, wide, sweeping lines. Look at this right-hander here. Almost using like the outside rut to give them that wall of death feel around the outside. Some big jumps. There's a massive tabletop here. And you can see that Chiodi is taking the wide lines, being chased by Carlsen there. There's the tabletop. Look at that. A tremendous jump. And the dust really flying up there. There's Tractor Look challenging Van Rijs. So those are fighting for 4th and 5th position at the moment. And Van der Berg, he's just taking Bellometti there and moving up into 7th position. Had a pretty poor start, was down in about, well, he must be down in about 13th position, I should think, to start with. But Carlsen, enjoying a real new lease of life. He had a moto win last time out and has been going so well here the last couple of days. And Michael Pichon, the Frenchman, the dust hanging in the air now. Must be terrible for the spectators out on some of those tight corners. And there you can see how you've just got to read the ruts absolutely perfectly. So Strybos is out of it and motoring home quietly. And disappointing because he just doesn't seem to be able to find the reliability or the performance, and it's really affecting his battle with Tractor, because although Tractor is down in 5th position at the moment, as you can see there, he's going to be feeling confident if he knows that Strybos is out of it. Van Rijs goes through. The Kawasaki in 6th, and there's Van der Berg in 7th place. Some really fast downhill sections here, and Alessio Chiodi still in the lead. And as he goes past the main sort of grandstand areas, the crowd go absolutely mad, as does the local commentator. And he's coming up to take the checkered flag. And listen to the noise as he takes the checkered ahead of Joachim Carlsen, who rode his Suzuki brilliantly, and then another cheer as Andrea Bartolini goes through, and then Yves de Maria, a very sensible ride into 4th position. The championship leader picking up points that add 11 to his tally at the moment, and Joachim Carlsen with 17 added to his tally.
Yeah, I tried to follow his line in the beginning, and I think that he should leave me, but yeah, I catch him in the end. But he knows the track very well, and he have all the good lines on the whole track. So this 2nd place was good points for me also. So it's not necessary to make so hard as I can.
Well, Carlsen managed 4th in the 2nd heat. Bartolini and Chiodi came 1st and 2nd in race 2, with De Maria in 3rd. But as we move on with heat 3, it looks like another Italian going for the whole shot. Chiodi takes it again. What tremendous form he's on. And I think Van Rijs is in there too. And Evangelista, number 56, is a local San Marino rider. And the crowd are cheering him on. Here he comes now, look. Tremendous big up there with the top World Championship boys. Pedro Tractor back in about 4th again. And then Alex Bartolini, 99. One of the Bartolini clan is in there, and Freddy Vial at number 14 is also having a very good first lap. But some of the real surprises, Strybos, for example, down in 10th, a horrible start for him. Carlsen, this is not going to be his moto. He's down in about 12th place. And right down in 20th position is the ex-world champion, John Van der Berg, currently 9th in the standings, not having a very good outing on his Honda. There goes Strybos, trying to plough his way back up through the field. But up in front, Yves de Maria takes the lead. But you can hear the klaxons going for Andrea Bartolini, who's in 2nd place. Chiodi has had a bit of a problem and is in fact in 4th place at the moment. So there goes Van der Berg. He's pulled up quite a few places. He's 15th. Here's Yves de Maria. You can see this circuit very slippy and stony. Where the worn track is, you just get your front wheel on one of those rocks and lose the front end, and it can be very hairy indeed. Through goes Bartolini on the Honda. Then there's the Suzuki of championship leader Pedro Tractorielli. I would think quite happy to safeguard some high points there. Alessio Chiodi riding like a maniac in front of the home crowd and loving every minute of it. Strybos now up, as you can see, into 5th position. Beautiful scenery with the mountains behind there, stinking hot here, and that dust hanging in the air as the riders power themselves around this picturesque circuit. Yves de Maria takes the checkered flag, and that gives him 3rd position overall, and it helps moving him up the standings too, if my calculations are correct. But what a great day for the Italians, because in the overall situation, Bartolini is 1st with 52 points, and Alessio Chiodi is 2nd with 50 points. Now then, in the standings, Tractor now has 11 more points over his nearest rival.
Ik ben wel tevreden. Ik ben uitgelopen op Strybos. Dat is wel het belangrijkste, denk ik.
What he's saying here is, of course, Strybos he feels is his closest competition, and Strybos has been overtaken by De Maria now. He doesn't seem to think that De Maria is quite as great a threat as Strybos is. But what about Strybos' day?
Maar ja, er kan van alles gebeuren en het kan niet
You can tell by the look in his
zitten.
face, I don't have to translate it for you. He's not happy, he's disappointed. But he says you can't have every race good for you. There have to be some bad races. He still thinks he's going to have a go at the championship as the sun sets over San Marino, and this is what the standings look like after round 8. Well, a few scenes there in our opening section, just reminding you of what's happened this season, and it's been really exciting so far. But the championship crown, or the top 3 places, were settled at the last round. And as we come here to Suzuka in Japan for round 15, all the places below 3 have still to be settled. And there are a lot of people looking over their shoulders, wondering what's going to be happening here, with a lot of local Japanese talent riding a lot of highly tuned Japanese bikes as well. It's a great circuit. You remember last year, it was very different to this. It's hot, it's humid, and it's been pouring with rain, and that mud is very, very claggy. Bob Moore returns to the action today after a layoff due to his injury at the British Grand Prix, and there's his bike number 2.
It's your first race after your injury. How do you feel?
Well, I'm still getting used to everything again. I've been off for 10 weeks now, so it's my first Grand Prix back, and it's starting to get better with time. The track was muddy at first, and it was very difficult because my foot, I can't put it down so much. But it's getting better.
And of course, Greg Albertine accepting everyone's adulation. He is racing here today. Doubtless he won't be going raving mad. Stefan Everts there, and Donny Schmidt, one of the big favourites here. So the riders lined up for Heat 1. It's a funny event this, because it's going to take place over 3 days. The first moto today and 2 days tomorrow, and going into that first corner, well, you can see Albertine going really, really wide, but it looks as if Takamasa Takagi is out there in front. Billy Lyles has stalled, and everyone is going mad because there is a Japanese rider out in front. 3,000 spectators here. It's 25 degrees, and listen to this, 73% humidity. Hot or what? But it's hot stuff for the Japanese, being followed by Schmidt, by Buzar, who's making a good showing there. And Mike LaRocco is over here from the States, courtesy of Kawasaki, who are at least looking for some action and maybe some podium places in this last Grand Prix of the season. He's riding a brand new 1994 machine with special suspension. They haven't had much time to set the bike up, of course. Now, because there are less than 40 riders here, there's no need for too much time practice and whatever, which is why we can spread the event out over 2 days. So let's look at these front runners. We still have the Japanese rider out in front, and that is Takamasa Takagi. Donny Schmidt biding his time, I think. He's getting close. That whoop section is very, very claggy. And then the other Rinaldi Suzuki man, Sandro, is in 3rd place at the moment. Greg Albertine is way, way down the field and starting to work his way up through them at the moment. Well, Schmidt goes through, and Puzar will surely be just biding his time as well. This is this section, look. There's really only one line through here, and the riders are saying if it stays claggy like this, it's going to get really quite rutted. And you can see how difficult it is to overtake in these sort of conditions. Donny Schmidt got a pretty good start, and he's starting to really pull away now. Pouzar won't want to let him get too far out of place, and Mike LaRocco making a good showing at this early stage. It's really strange to see one of the American guys over here. Stefan Everts, I have to say, had a disastrous start, and that's him pulling through the field. He's running down in the sort of 30s at the moment and carving his way through the field, 5 or 6 places per lap. Mike LaRocco moving up into third, and he's right on the heels of Sandro Pouzar, who is having a very good end-of-season showing. But Takamasa Takagi is tired and is starting to fall back down through the field. Edwin Evertson, well, he actually had reasonable practice here. He got 7th fastest in practice. Galbertain making his way up through the field, and that's Mike LaRocco down. The mud proving very heavy for the American. Mike LaRocco's now pointing the wrong way with a stalled 1994 Kawasaki. Gives us a chance to have a look at that new suspension there as Kurt Nickel goes through into third. And Mike LaRocco heading off. I wonder if he rips off one of the peel-offs off his goggles, because a lot of mud here, and another rider, Johansson, goes past Takamasa. Johansson has actually moved up from about 13th position, so good riding for him, and through goes Bob Moore, bravely out there riding with a very special boot on his foot to protect the foot, but as you heard him say earlier, he can't stick a foot down there very much. And Fred Bolli has now moved up into 6th place, because Bolli, once again, like the others, has been working through the field a bit after a poor start. Donny Schmidt fairly relaxed then with that finish, taking the checkered flag from Alessandro Pouzar, one of the best results of the season for him. Kurt Nickel, an excellent third. Mike LaRocco managed to regain some composure.
Ronnie, did you find a difficult race?
Just the heat a little bit, but other than that, it was pretty easy for me because I got a good start. And it took me a few laps to get around the Japanese rider, but it was okay once I got around him.
So there are the results of Heat 1, and good ride by Johansson. Isn't it funny to see LaRocco's name up there? And Kurt Nickel, he's having such a good season in his first season. Thought it was just going to be a learning and a setup season.
Stefan, how do you think about the split of the race over 2 days?
Well, it's not so bad. It's very humid and very hot here, so I think it's a good idea. But like in the States and in Venezuela, we had it also on 1 day, and it was also very hot and humid. So, but it's a good idea.
Well, it certainly has turned out to be a good idea because it is hot. But the most important thing is it's dry. 30 degrees centigrade, 76% humidity, and they're off for Heat 2 on the Sunday, and this will be anything other than a Sunday afternoon drive. Look at Frederick Bolli, really well placed on the inside. Ever gets a really good start as well. The two of them going hammer and tongs. A couple of the Japanese riders getting a bit tied up, and Bob Moore taking it very easily through the pack there. But it's Fred Bolli out in front, being chased by Kurt Nickel in 2nd place. Everts 3rd. Alessandro Pouzar got another brilliant start. And then some of the Japanese riders coming through. There's Donny Schmidt. There's Greg Albertine. It's really strange how Alex Pouzar is enjoying these hot, humid conditions. You remember he did in Venezuela as well. Another storming ride by Kurt Nickel. So these 4 now pulling away from the rest of the field. And what's really interesting is without Schmidt and without Albertine right up there in front, we're seeing some really close racing from these guys, as was proven during the time practice as well. Whoa, Everts goes through, just touches Kurt Nickel, who lost a bit of momentum there, but good exciting riding. He looks over his shoulder and sees the Rinaldi Suzuki man, Pouzar, coming around behind him. A great shot there. Pouzar goes through. Riley Fanton goes through. There's Donny Schmidt starting to chase. There's Greg Albertine. And this circuit providing such exciting racing today, as you can see Everts having a crack at Fred Bolli. surely any minute now. Bolle seems to have found a new lease of life. Technically, he's a very, very good rider, Bolle, and this is a technical circuit, especially with all the whoop sections, and Tatsuyuki Motoki is out of it, and they wheel his Honda behind the safety of this netting. Well prepared, this course, although I don't really like those stakes that stick up in the air. It might get in someone's way. Whoa, and speak of the devil, and he shall arrive. Fred Bolle goes down, as does Everton. They've lost a few places there as some of the top riders go through. Bolle gets away. The marshals jumping around on the circuit, waving their arms in the air. Look at this again. I think it was Evert's fault. He just took Bolle out. I mean, no one's fault. That whoop section is very, very hard, but he throws some mud at Stefan anyway. Kurt Nickel in the lead then. My word. So things really hot in Heat 2 here. Pouzard is having the race of his lifetime with the other Rinaldi man behind him. So the roles reversed, unlike yesterday's Heat 1. And you can see Donny Schmidt in the background. What's happened to Kurt? Pouzard goes through, Kurt's left high and dry, and there's Schmidt. So it's Suzuki 1 and 2, and Albertine in third place. Kurt Nickel still can't start his bike. Got a problem in the back there. And Michele Fantone goes through, so Pouzard second in the first heat, currently first in the second heat. Do you know that 10,000 spectators have turned up for today because the weather's so much better? Greg Albertine third, as you can see there from the caption. And all sorts of things going on down the field, because if you think about what the standings were like before, Malik Barefoots, for example, really hasn't done very well so far. Well, Kurt Nickel's just about got his bike going. Werner de Witt goes through there now, just pushing a couple of riders out of the way. But with Pouzard doing so well and Barefoots doing so bad, it looks as if Pouzard might even be able to make his way up the standings quite a considerable way today if he continues this way, riding beautifully, still with a bit of pain, you know, after his injuries, but look at that. Very confident and looking great. So, a brilliant second heat, and who would say that the final Grand Prix of the year with the top three places already decided would be boring? You daren't say that. Pouzard from Schmidt, from Albertine, Fred Bolle regained into fourth, and Stefan Everts in fifth. Rob Herring isn't having a very good outing. He was way back down in 11th. The really interesting thing is now the standings are definitely going to change. Kurt Nickel went out on lap 7, and Albertine has got a very sore ankle. That Bolle and Everts situation could easily have been a 1 and 2 instead of a 4th and 5th, couldn't it? It does mean that the standings are going to look very different. And Alessandro Pouzard enjoying standing on the top of the podium, and obviously looking very strongly to go for an overall here today. And what about the world champ? That should read Heat 2, that.
Greg, we had the impression that in the second half of the race you slowed down a little bit. What happened? What was wrong?
Well, probably because I couldn't breathe anymore and I couldn't move because I was so tired. Now, I've been suffering, you know, because after the last GP in Finland, I have been partying a lot, celebrating the championship, and not much training, so now I'm really suffering.
Especially with the heat, I'm sure he will do. This afternoon we're standing by for the third heat, and the temperature is still soaring up there in the 30s, and immense humidity. Well, there they are side by side again, 11 and 88 as we stand by for the third heat of the final round of the World Championship. And the action is soaring up there high too. Everton, obviously, heard as I was saying, he gets the first hole shot through. Oh, and a tremendous pile up there. More Everts, Nickel, Berverts, Takagi, Albi, all involved in that, and that's going to really affect the outcome of this race. Greg Albertine is not used to be standing around there on the first corner, but out in front they're going mad because it's a Japanese rider, Takateru Atsuta, in the lead. And they just love it. What a great shot that is as they come over some of these awesome jumps here. So Honda rider Takateru Atsuta, and behind him Edwin Everton, who got the initial hole shot. And you can see Donny Schmidt back there in the pack, and the dust really starting to rise here. So Edwin Everton, Albertine way down and starting to chase, but not looking happy. I think he's going to make his way back to the pits. Some problems with the brakes on his bike, and Everton is now starting to attack the Japanese rider. A few points here might protect his position in the overall standings, and it's his last opportunity to do so. But the Japanese rider giving us a good demo of Honda's new equipment for next year. Now, surely Everton is going to take his opportunity any time now. Getting closer and closer, and behind him, Talon Voland is having a good ride. Amazing how these guys come back from injury as Everton powers through, showing... Well, Voland's having a crack as well, but just doesn't quite get the opportunity. Well, I think he's going to get it now, yes, and they're both clearly through. The Japanese riders were saying that they really ought to, have a look at that again, look through here. They really ought to sort their fitness out. I know one or two of them are looking for rides on the whole Grand Prix circuit. Oh, and Tagamasa Takagi's down, and he was one of the riders I was talking about. He's being taken away by the paramedics. Let's hope he's okay. So Everton out there fairly clear now. But the fitness thing is something that the Japanese riders have got to work on. The Americans and the Europeans really do work hard on fitness, and that is Takayuki Miyachi, another one of the local riders, Talon Voland. There's Takayuki Miyachi chasing him. And right behind is Mike LaRocco, who's come out of nowhere on his 1994 Kawasaki. So Kawasaki certainly looking for some results on home territory. They haven't had a very good season. Pouzard mixing it up there again. Pouzard going through. He's in 6th now and climbing up. He's come all the way up from 13th position and riding like a demon. And could this be an overall for Pouzard? It would be fantastic if he managed it. He had a disastrous season at some stage, and LaRocco showing some supercross aggressiveness there as he goes through. Into 3rd position for Kawasaki. Greg Albertine apparently having terrible brake problems and doing another one of the countless interviews he's destined to do. Now then, this is where the action is. And Mike LaRocco and Alexandre Pouzard are getting closer by the minute to the front two. And look how close the front four are. It is quite extraordinary. The level of competition in this, the final Grand Prix. And I think Everton must be feeling a little bit weary. He's battled so hard in the other two motos this weekend. And LaRocco's into 2nd and challenging very hard. Talon Voland still 3rd. Alex Pouzard working out in his mind what he needs to do for an overall. But I'm wondering whether they brought LaRocco over and said, if you get us a moto win here, we'll pay you a big fat bonus as he goes through on the inside. Beautiful riding by Mike LaRocco, taking the brand new Kawasaki into the lead. And behind him, the battle is still raging. Have a look at this again. Absolutely perfect. Getting through the last 2 bumps on that whoop section. Supercross. Oh, Donny Schmidt is out of it. And a mere spectator hiding behind the pine trees. We can still spot that #1 plate, which of course he won't be having next year. Pouzard is looking for a plate, maybe with single figures on it. But if he gets the overall here today, he's going to move up into certainly the top 11 in the standings. Currently, I think he's at 13, but let's concentrate on what's happening right here as he moves past Everton as well. So he's into 2nd place. I don't think he's going to... Oh, Bob Moore's called it a day. Bob Moore, tired, in pain. A brave ride from him. It was great to see him back. Donny Schmidt coasting into the pits. And Mike LaRocco, head down. I bet he's tired. Oh, there's my friend with the checkered flag. Goes airborne every time he waves it. And a good ride from Mike LaRocco. And Alex Pouzard, if my calculations are correct, is overall winner of the final Grand Prix of the year. Edwin Everton takes 3rd place. Talon Voland, a great ride into 4th. And what a great weekend it's been for Fred Bolly.
Sorry. Today, sorry, I speak a little bit in English.
I know.
Today, for me, good race, good result. Maybe for next year, possible, first.
Well, it's great to see Pouzard winning again. He was such a great champion, and yeah, we may see him back again if he gets his head together. That's the way to end the season, isn't it? So those are the results of Heat 3. Now comes the funny old hat. Now then, I was right about Pouzar. He actually moves up to 10th place world title in this, the 11th round of the 125cc World Championship Motocross Series. Pedro Trachter. And of course it's a big one for him because this is where he could and probably will clinch the World Championship. We called him before the event and asked him how he'd prepared for this event.
Ik heb me heel rustig voorbereid. Ik heb lekker thuis gezeten met mijn vriendin.
Basically,
Ik heb heel weinig
surprise, surprise, he just wanted to relax, so he spent some time with his girlfriend. He hasn't done any riding at all, just a bit of physical exercise.
Prima, wat ga je zondag doen? Je eigen wedstrijd rijden of kies je het wiel van de Maria?
Are you going to ride this race your way, or are you going to tuck yourself in behind Yves de Maria? And he says, no, I'm going to ride this race my way and just see how it comes.
Wat de Maria doet, moet hij zelf weten. Ik wil mijn eigen wedstrijd rijden.
Well, it's a superb course, this course here at Manjimup. And you can see the standings after round 10. Trachter has got a bit of breathing space there, but most of the battling is going to go on with the other guys behind him for their positions. The weather's been very strange, really, for Western Australia, just 300 kilometres from Perth. And there's the man a lot of people will be looking at, de Maria. He's had a very good sort of second part of the season. Strybos, the 1986 world champion, isn't going to get that close this year as we move off with Heat 1, and you can see a lot of mud now, and this is going to change things considerably. Let's see who gets the whole shot. Well, some strange lines through there. Some of the guys going wide, some's going through on the inside, and it looks like Bartolini's got it. Tractor's well placed though in second, ahead of Carlson. Pichon on Honda, Strybos on Honda. De Maria is quite a long way back at this stage, and Remy Van Ries on Kawasaki. But at the moment it's Honda from a couple of Suzuki.